It's daybreak on Arise News, and it's now time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Well, let's start off with our sister publication, This Day newspaper, and the main story once again is about travel bans. The Archbishop of Canterbury condemns Nigeria's red listing, calls it travel apartheid, wants restrictions scrapped, travel ban discriminatory, attack on diplomatic relations, Senate tells UK. NCDC confirms 3 new cases. 7 travellers from Nigeria test positive in the UK. And the NCAA threatens to ban international airlines that flout COVID-19 protocols. Also, the Governor of Lagos State has urged Lagos to prepare for 4th wave, threatens to prosecute fake test holders. Also, Buhari flags off 300 million African Bank's medical centre, a story that we reported earlier, and also Equinix to acquire Main One in a $320 million deal.
We can take a look at the Punch newspaper now. Federal government MDAs bar unvaccinated visitors Lagos to demand jab cards at parties. And the writers to that headline, security agents reject identification cards from contractors, others insist on vaccination cards. Right above the nameplate, $197 million 5G mock auction holds Friday. Rollout begins in 2022 in 12 states. Southwest governors working on arms for Amotekun operatives, and that's according to Makinde. Find that on page 7. Oil well, Senate threatens arrest, and firm sues lawmakers, demands 10 billion naira. That's for that spill in Nembe in Bayelsa State. And on the front page is a picture of a burnt truck that happened. An accident happened in Lagos in the Jadu area, and about over 10 children were killed in that accident. A mob vandalized vehicles as truck crushes 10 Lagos students. Police declared 2 dead.
The Guardian this morning, their main front photo is of the truck incident. Also, currency risks delayed counterpart fund, insecurity slow, infra cost takeoff. Despite mere 2.5 million naira license, 20-year tenor. Dambata claims counterpart fund is too low economic viable areas based on service delivery. Also, the US urges the federal government telecoms operators to prioritise security of the 5G network. African Union and governors, lawmakers all call for the end to travel ban stigmatisation. And also, Lagos issues strict guidelines for social events as we head into the Christmas period.
And the Nation newspaper, outrage as truck crushes pupils to death in Lagos. Conflicting casualty figures. Protesters burn truck, vandalized VIO vehicle. And above the nameplate, $419 million Paris Club debt. Order stopping deduction of states fund stays. And there's more. Find out what we discussed with Tinubu. That's by Shekara on page 6. Omicron, government weighs options on ban as pressure mounts on the UK.
Now let's have a look at the international papers and the Daily Telegraph. Plans for Christmas work from home order, tougher COVID rules under consideration as cabinet is split over vaccine passports. Also, tech companies must protect children from truly horrific abuse. That's according to a report from a countess. Foreign Office chief spent 11 days on holiday during the Kabul crisis. And also the BBC is to stop using what they call the insulting term BAME. That's the Daily Telegraph this morning.
The I newspaper, 2021. It's beginning to look a lot like last Christmas. And Boris Johnson refuses to rule out asking people in England to work from home as Nicola Sturgeon changes office working guidance in Scotland until mid-January.
Now, The Guardian UK this morning, PM accused of lying after number 10 team filmed joking about a party. Leaked footage suggests Downing Street did host an event during lockdown last year, despite repeated denials. And also, letter links Johnson to airlift of animals, a story that we reported earlier here on Arise News.
And the Daily Express now. We need a shot in the arm. Fears Omicron will trigger a wave of hospital admissions and overwhelm the NHS. That's why.
And finally, the Daily Mirror, another top Tory broke COVID party rules. Education Chief Williamson hosted Christmas bash during ban on socialising. Leaked clip shows Number 10 staff joking about boozy night exposed by the Mirror and the broadcaster ITV.
The Financial Times, quick one. US urges Berlin to block Russian gas line in event of Ukraine strike.
Now, for more on the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello. Good morning to you, Emmanuel. Good to see you as always. Let's start with this day. The main story, once again, we're talking about travel bans. We're talking about Omicron. The NCC is threatening to ban international airlines for what they say are flouting COVID-19 protocols. Could we see this? Because essentially it's not the airline's fault that they're taking the action they are. It's obviously down to the British government. Is it fair to take it out on the airlines?
Yeah, it's beyond. Good morning, Dan. It's beyond the issue of whether it's fair or it's not fair. It's about basic procedures, basic rules, and basic decency in these issues of rules around the issue of COVID and of course the new variant. I think we're beginning to see greater actions on the part of government, on the Nigerian government, even calling on some of those restrictions and planning to deal with defaulters on all sides, requiring more compliance and better adherence to all the protocols, like they call them. So yes, it's we might talk about what is fair and what is not fair, who to blame. There's a lot of that to go around, but as it is, countries are taking greater measures. Everyone doing what it can to ensure that it protects its people. And you see government, the federal government, dwelling very greatly on that. And of course also still making those calls that it's wrong for the country to be blacklisted, to be on some red list of not being allowed to get in elsewhere. But then Nigeria might be forced to do some of those things. Already they've threatened some form of retaliation, but this must go beyond just retaliation. This must go beyond trying to also punish other people. And taking the science into consideration, taking the facts into consideration, and doing what is right. I think that's what the NCA is looking at, and a story is also showing what Lagos State government is. Maybe we're coming to talk about that to inbound passengers, and it's just government trying to be tough on this issue, and not just talking tough, but seen as being tough. Nations around the world are doing everything, at the risk of being called all sorts of names, doing everything to see that they protect their people. I think the federal government must take some cue from that and begin to be a bit more serious about how we deal with this crisis of inflows of passengers across the world.
And speaking of Lagos State, Emmanuel Bello, the Lagos State government is asking everyone to go around now with their vaccination cards. So if you haven't been vaccinated, be sure to do that. The Archbishop of Canterbury has also joined that call to get Nigeria and some other countries in Africa off that red list. But let's stay with Lagos. A lot's been happening in Lagos lately, Emmanuel. The Nation newspaper here is saying outrage as truck crushes pupils to death in Lagos. A few days ago, we reported here about 8 children were found in a car on the Badagry Expressway. And now kids going home from school, a truck just runs into them. And after that happened, some of the kids from the school started protesting. And if you go on social media, you'd find videos of the Nigerian policemen apparently trying to get into the school and shooting into the school to stop the protests. Emmanuel, what's going on in Lagos? What's happening with the children? Why are they dying like flies?
It's tragic, and if not because of that bit about the police misbehaving. Again, these are very, very serious stories, and of course, at the heart of it all is the human angle to the story. And of course, some of these probably beyond what the officials could do and all that. But then when you look at the recklessness of truck drivers, not just in Lagos but across the country, you begin to understand that yes, some form of seriousness on the part of even governance, good leadership must come in to see that this is stopped in the future. It's so sad. You just imagine what parents will be going through now. Beyond those figures, beyond what you're reporting, the human tragedy itself, the human angle story to this, and a lot of story around school, especially with what happened in Dowen and the strangulation of that kid in school. So these are issues, these are human angle stories. Most people will know, boldly lead with that. But again, these are the sort of stories we should be looking at people's safety and what are the authorities doing? Who are we letting to go to get away with murder practically? What are the policies in place and the checks in place to ensure that school children are safe when they are coming back from school? What are the highway codes around these issues? So these are the sort of thing, and in a place like as populated as Lagos, it also tells you that yes, a whole lot of checks have to be done, and some supervision and inspections too by the officials, whether it's issues of traffic or issues of sin and all that. Good governance can do a lot in dealing with some of these crises. While you can actually stop some tragedies from happening, while you can talk about fate, but you still see a lot of human errors in some of these tragedies, and something has to be done about it to forestall them happening, especially in a very, very crowded place like Lagos, where you have all sorts of movements from morning till night. So this is a wide call, and I think the Lagos state government will have to wake up to see what it can do for better traffic control and better regulations around those issues.
Now, Emmanuel, let's look internationally now, and I know we've discussed the British Prime Minister before, Boris Johnson, almost like a cat with many lives, I think it's best to say politically. Today he wakes up on a lot of newspapers criticism. There's criticism that there seems to be more proof that there was a party in Downing Street last year when the rest of the country was in lockdown. More of his government flouting lockdown rules last year. His involvement in the Kabul evacuation. A little bit later on, I think 1 o'clock Nigerian time, is Prime Minister's questions, where the opposition parties can confront him, ask questions. Obviously a tough week. There'll be a lot of questions, I'm sure, on the travel bans as well potential Omicron variants. Is it going to be a tough day for the Prime Minister?
Yeah, but then you called him the cat with the 9 lives, and so he has a way of always, getting around these issues and maybe almost bamboozling his way out with tough talk and denials. And then he denied those parties, but again, new proof showing that yes, he had those parties, joking about it. And of course, in one of the stories, one of the top government officials broke those rules again. I think the good thing about this story is the way journalism and reporting is staying on this story and keeping them honest as much as we can by showing how officials say one thing in the day and then do another thing in the night. I think that's the role we're playing in these matters. How the Prime Minister gets around some of these issues, how he denies them, how he even survives his own political career. He's come under a lot of fire with some people almost calling him a clown and calling him all sorts of names, opposition calling him that and saying that he's not serious, he doesn't take his job seriously. And of course, the other day he was blundering in his speech and just so. But this is a man that knows how to get around, like you say, gets around some of these issues. How he survives this today at question time is here to be seen. But kudos to the British British journalism for staying on the story and keeping them honest, revealing what state officials like to do, which is say one thing in the daytime and then do another thing altogether. We need to be beaming such lights on how personal examples, leadership is actually being reported.
Thank you for your honest take, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press preview.